In a village deep in the heart of Yoruba land, where the earth felt the warmth of the sun and the nights were filled with the songs of crickets, there lived a tortoise named Ijapa and his wife, Yannibo. Their lives, once brimming with hope, had grown clouded by a sorrow that gnawed at their hearts. They longed for a child, yearned for the sounds of tiny feet pattering through their home, the laughter of a new life filling the air. Yet, despite all their efforts and prayers to the gods, no child had come. Seasons passed, and their dreams of parenthood began to fade like a mist in the morning sun. The once vibrant and joyful Ijapa now found himself growing more and more silent. Where there used to be songs from his mouth, melodies that filled the village with cheer, now there was only quiet, a stillness that mirrored the heavy burden he carried in his heart. Even Yannibo, his beloved wife, no longer laughed as she once did. The emptiness in their home echoed with every passing day, a constant reminder of what they lacked. But Ijapa, ever determined, refused to give up. The forest, with its ancient trees and whispering winds, had always been his place of solace. He wandered through it often, hoping that in its vastness he might find answers, or at least a respite from the ache within him. He sought the wisdom of the trees, the rivers, the skies, yet none could offer him what he truly desired. One day, after another fruitless journey through the forest, Ijapa made a decision. He would seek the counsel of the herbalist. The herbalist was revered throughout the land, not only for his knowledge of plants and the healing properties of nature, but also for his deep understanding of the mystical forces that governed life. It was said that he could see beyond the veil of the ordinary, that his eyes, twinkling like stars, could perceive what others could not. When Ijapa reached the herbalist's humble hut, nestled at the edge of the forest, he found the old man sitting peacefully, grinding herbs with a practiced hand. The air was thick with the scent of various roots and leaves, each with its own tale to tell. The herbalist looked up as Ijapa approached, his wise eyes searching the tortoise's face. Without needing to say much, Ijapa shared his sorrow. The old man listened intently, nodding occasionally as the tortoise poured out his heart. The desire for a child, the years of waiting, the rituals and prayers, and still, nothing. It seemed that fate had turned its back on him and Yannibo. The herbalist, after a moment of silence, stood and began to prepare something special. He moved with purpose, selecting rare and potent mushrooms from the forest, the savory meat of the antelope, and fish caught fresh from the river. As he worked, the aroma of the concoction began to fill the small space, rich and tantalizing. It was a symphony of smells that stirred something deep within Ijapa, as though the solution to all his woes was just within reach. The herbalist spoke as he worked, explaining the significance of each ingredient: the mushrooms that brought dreams to life, the bush meat that carried the strength of the wild, and the fish stew, a symbol of nourishment and fertility. Together, they formed an elixir unlike any other, one that could change the course of fate. When the herbalist finished, he handed the calabash to Ijapa with a stern warning: "This is powerful magic. A single sip will suffice. Too much, and the consequences may be more than you can bear." Ijapa nodded, but as he grasped the calabash, something strange came over him. The smell of the potion was overwhelming, an intoxicating mix that pulled at his senses. It was as though the elixir itself was calling to him, begging him to take more than just a sip. His hands trembled as he raised the calabash to his lips, his resolve weakening like a leaf in the wind. And then, in one swift motion, he drank it all. The moment the last drop passed his lips, Ijapa felt a pang of regret. What had he done? He had ignored the herbalist's warning, consumed by his own greed. The flavors of the potion still danced on his tongue, but now there was an uneasy feeling in his chest, like a storm gathering in the distance. As the days passed, Ijapa began to notice changes in his body. At first, it was subtle, a slight swelling in his belly that he tried to dismiss. But as time went on, it became impossible to ignore. His once slender frame had grown round, and soon it was undeniable. Ijapa, the clever tortoise, had become pregnant. He was horrified. This was not what he had sought. His mind raced with thoughts of Yannibo and how she would react. How could he explain this to her? He had come seeking a solution for their barrenness, and now he had brought upon himself a fate he could never have imagined. As his belly grew, so did his shame. He wandered the forest aimlessly, consumed by the weight of his mistake. He felt lost, adrift in a world that no longer made sense to him. But Ijapa was not one to give in to despair easily. After days of reflection, he realized that he could not run from his actions. He had made a mistake, yes, but there was still a chance for redemption. And so, with a newfound determination, he decided to return to the herbalist. He would confess his folly and seek forgiveness. He would atone for his transgression, no matter the cost. As he made his way back through the forest, Ijapa began to sing. It started as a quiet melody, a song born from the deepest parts of his soul. With each step, his voice grew stronger, his song more vibrant. He sang of his greed, of his regret, of the lesson he had learned. It was a joyous lament, a celebration of the wisdom he had gained through his suffering. When he arrived at the herbalist's hut, his songs still echoed through the trees. The old man was waiting for him, his eyes twinkling with understanding. Ijapa bowed low before him, pouring out his heart in song and words, recounting every detail of his journey, every misstep and realization. The herbalist listened in silence, his expression unreadable. When Ijapa finished, there was a long pause. Finally, the herbalist spoke, his voice gentle. "You have learned a hard lesson, Ijapa. Fate is not always kind, but it is not without mercy. Your journey has been difficult, but you have found your way back to the path of wisdom. In that, there is redemption." Ijapa felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Though he still carried the consequences of his actions in his swollen belly, his spirit was lighter. He had made a mistake, but he had not let it define him. He had sought forgiveness, and in doing so, he had found peace. As Ijapa returned home to Yannibo, he realized that their journey was far from over. There would be more challenges, more trials to face. But he now understood that life's twists and turns were not something to be feared. They were part of the journey, part of the wisdom that one gained over time. And so, the story of Ijapa, the tortoise, became a cautionary tale told throughout the village. It was a reminder of the dangers of temptation and the importance of self-control. But more than that, it was a story of redemption, of how even the greatest mistakes can lead to growth, understanding, and ultimately peace. May we all learn from Ijapa's journey, and may we face the unpredictable nature of fate with wisdom, courage, and discernment. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Kindly like, subscribe for more episodes like this.